Hello, everyone, and welcome back once again to the MLS Now podcast. I'm your host, Russell. You can find me on social media at Mr. Danger Russ, but more importantly, you can find the podcast on social media at MLS Now Podcast. And even more important than all of that is our wonderful guests today, gracing us with their presence, coming back by popular demand, victorious, no less, from their very first match in MLS. The SDFC bros, Carlos and Vince. Guys, many people said I was too high on you in our group chat. I feel very vindicated. So I gotta say, it feels great to see you guys because now I can feel very smug, and I can help you guys feel smug too.
Well, Russell,
We got to enjoy it.
well, I think it was a common theme that these men from LA, from Dallas, from Austin, all these men were talking. And you know what? There's a famous saying in Italy where it says, "The winner celebrates and the loser explains." And I think that is exactly what went down on Sunday in Carson City. So it's great. Vibes are immaculate in San Diego right now, and
the city's feeling it.
Yeah, the city's feeling it. We're loving it right now.
Yeah.
So great to be back, and can't wait for the rest of the season to kick off.
Man, I'm so hyped for you guys because your home opener is in like
A couple hours.
24 hours
Yes,
from
yes,
now.
yes.
Yeah, from like when we're recording this. And so like I almost like I was almost hesitant to be like, man, like is this going to be are we going to miss out on like a chance to like double dip on this? And I think the answer is no, because I just seeing how much fun you guys had on social media and all the people who are out there, and like seeing how much people are buying into the team, right? Like can you walk me through like what is it in this first weekend? What was it that made it magical, special? What stood out to you? Like I want to hear all of it. I want to bask in like the very, very positive vibes.
Yeah,
right now.
so it's not an understatement to say San Diego loves its sports teams. Like, we want somebody to root to. But ultimately, what this weekend felt was something just completely different. Like the watch party that we were at, Mavericks, because it was hosted by San Diego FC, there was a line out the door. And it was just like every culture, every type of person, somebody you wouldn't even think watches soccer was wearing that shirt. Everybody was just so excited. And what I think just drove it separately is like, when you watch a Padre game, you come in, you sit, you sit down, you're watching a baseball game, everything. But for this, it was insane. And the build up before the first game, I went to try to go buy a jersey because I hadn't bought one yet. I was like, oh, well, whatever, I'll still be there. And everything sold out, off the racks, everything. They're only selling the authentic one now. And I was just like, this is crazy. And then just random people you wouldn't expect, and I'm like, oh, like, so you really like soccer now? Or they're just like, no, I just want to support San Diego. And it was just the vibes throughout the city were just like super excited. And then a bunch of our supporter friends, they went up there to LA, and so they're sending me videos, and they're on buses just celebrating. And then they start videos, and you just see the massive crowd of supporters who like were willing to drive up all the way to LA to support them. And then down here too, bar after bar after bar, just completely filled of just people wanting to watch the game. And after those goals, man, it felt like you could do no wrong. There was no hate, there was no nothing, just pure energy throughout the city.
No. It was something that I think caught a lot of us by surprise, especially, I could safely say me and Carlos definitely caught by surprise, because we went into this game, we were thinking, okay, if we can get a draw out of this match, that's a win, right? Lowercase W. That's a lowercase W. So, because obviously, go away to the champs, new expansion team. But, as we were kind of talking about earlier, when expansion teams come in, it's like they usually win their first game. But, I think there was a lot of question marks with the San Diego FC team on like kind of how they would play. But it's like these guys came out, and it's like they made the city proud. And I think it's like what the whole kind of Sorry, my notifications. But
People are probably already tweeting. They're like, "Oh my gosh, like this! I can't wait for this game tomorrow."
yeah, so it's like, just the vibes, going, to Mavericks Beach Club in Pacific Beach. It was, just one of those things where it was a celebration. It was one of those things where it's like, this is something new for all of us. And, we were talking to, one of our friends, and, we were talking like, the Padres, they have history here, but it's like with San Diego FC, it's like everybody is like a part of like the start of it. And it's like, when you're in this age of media and, kind of like this kind of sort of space, it's like everybody's a part of it. And the vibes were just so crazy. And it's like something about football and something about soccer that's different is it's very passionate. And like, you don't really get the same with, like an American football or a baseball, sort of thing. Whereas it's like with soccer, it's like, you do have like that passion from all these different cultures and whatnot. And you just put that all together in this melting pot. And, Mavericks was, like you felt the energy. And it's like, after that first goal went in, it's like, everybody was like super behind the team. And it's like, I'm sure we'll get into the performance later, but I can safely say that like everybody was really proud of what was put onto the pitch.
I think the best way of saying it is like the team didn't win. It felt like San Diego won.
Fairs.
Like it really felt like San Diego won, and everybody was excited for it. It wasn't like, oh my god, I support this team, SDFC, we won. It was, nah, San Diego won. We won. We told everybody who we are.
Just going off the itinerary, right? Like I didn't even stick to it for like two questions this week. I'm immediately like taking us off the beaten trail on this one. So in our last recording, we kind of talked about San Diego as a sports city and how like for a good bit of time it was just the Padres was like the only game in town, right? Do you think that, I guess, like the extra momentum of this being another team plays more into it, or is it something that the team is doing right? Is it like branding? Is it marketing? Maybe is it a little bit of both? Like what about this has just got everyone to just buy in so
Yeah,
well?
well, I mean, I can safely say SDFC bros have been there from day one, when the team was announced. And, that very first, I don't know if it was like an unveiling party or something like that, where we were there. And, there weren't really a lot of people, but, with these Chrome Ball tours where it's like you can look on our page and it's like they went through this whole tour through San Diego, just promoting the team, pushing the right initiatives, right? And, really selling the team to the city and, kind of to see this is kind of the vision. This is kind of like what we're trying to do. And, they pushed all the right initiatives, every single one, to the point where it's like they had the support from day one, right? And, you saw, with the players that they brought in, and, there were so many people in the comments saying, who's this no name, who's this, who's that, where's, the star-studded players, you see man like Inter Miami, bringing these guys and so on and so forth. And, I myself, I'm not going to lie, little kind of on the fence a little. I'm like, okay, I don't know who Yepes Verskov is, right? Or, these guys coming in from Nordjylland, I was very on the fence about how our quality would be on the pitch. But the truth of the matter is like, they put all the right pieces of the puzzle together so surprisingly well. I think come that first match day, it caught everybody by surprise. And, just kind of looking at, the predictions that everybody put San Diego last place, 15th place, 12th place. I was like, surely we're not that bad, right? But then, I think that match day one really proved a lot of people wrong. And I think that's just kind of a testament of what this management was doing, kind of what Mikey Varas was, really at the forefront of a lot of these things. And our sporting director as well, Tyler Heaps, put all these guys in the right position, in the right spots. And, we had the privilege of going to the training ground at one point, and we saw like the bond that this team has like all together. And it's like, these guys are bros. Like these guys are just, guys playing football, and, they have their banter and their jokes. And it's like, with that, you have that side of things, but then also it's like you have the city behind you just based off of, these chrome ball tours and, the guys bringing in. So it's like, I think it's like a multitude of things that really brought the team together, like especially with these initiatives being pushed.
Yeah, just like it's a combo of all of it. I think San Diego has always been a city that loves soccer, but it needed to a little push. Like it really just needed a little tiny push, and we saw that with all the Chrome Ball tours and just how it started to pick up steam little by little by little by little to the point where I don't want to say it was shoved down our throats, but it was there, it was known, and after this win, which amazing because if we didn't have the team to back it up, then I don't know where we would be at. Thankfully, we're here, but we're looking into having the most sold out in the Snapdragon Stadium, which has not happened. The most attendees possible, and it's going to be crazy just to know that the city's going to be there. And I think what we're also going to be buying into is the tailgating that's going to be around the stadium because I know San Diego loves its tailgating. So like I was saying, like Vince was saying, I think it's a combination of all of it, and just it's just an amazing moment that just happened at an amazing time, and we've been wanting and waiting something for it. Just all
Come
okay,
together.
yeah, all aligned.
Yeah. I think one thing that stands out to me as well, it, the San Diego, I guess the Loyal,
Right.
right?
Right.
They had a pretty dedicated
Mhm.
following. And yet, would you say that this feels different? Like, and maybe it could be that it's because it's MLS, maybe it's the resources of ownership, maybe it's the Chrome Ball tours, it's the outreach. I mean, there could be more social media. It could be all of these factors combined, right? But like, this feels like now seeing the reaction, hearing the stories from you guys, seeing the media,
Right.
for instance, this feels very different than the
And
Loyal.
oh,
Yeah, no, certainly. The Loyal, coming from, just a San Diegan itself, it's like it was really hard to kind of buy into the team because it's like much how San Diego FC was like, oh, where's all the names, so on and so forth. Bro, SD Loyal like had no names. And it's like, yeah, you had Donovan coming in. That was a huge selling point in the team where it's like you have probably arguably the best American soccer player of all time coaching a team, right? And he's from San Diego, so on and so forth. Whereas it's like I feel like they really missed the ball to really promote that and really, just get the most out of that. And it's like for me, it's like it was really hard to kind of get sold on the team because it's like number one, it's like you don't have, a name or like a reference point where you can look at and be like, okay, this is how you can sell a team because we've seen other USL teams bring in guys who played in Europe, right? I'm pretty sure Drogba played for Phoenix Rising, right?
mhm.
Drogba, one of the greatest Premier League strikers of all time, certainly for me. And it's like, so it's like that was a selling point for Phoenix Rising. So then it's like San Diego Loyal, as great as their fan base was and everything like that. And they were diehard loyals, right? Ironically enough. So it's like you have those guys come in and, support the team and everything like that. But the thing that lacked was the product on the field. And the truth of the matter, San Diego Loyal did not play good. There wasn't really a game where it's like we can look at and be like, this was dominant, style of play. And it's like, at the end of the day, it's like football is a business where it's like, if you don't get results, you're not going to have the fan base in the city behind you. And yes, I will say that there was a lot of hype in the beginning for SD Loyal, right? Because it's like myself, I was like, oh, like I want to catch a game, da da da. But these guys wouldn't have like good solid results. So it's like for me as like a football consumer, right, where it's like the only, exposure I've had to soccer is Europe, right? I'm Italian. That's the pinnacle of football, right? So it's like I look at Loyal and like these guys can barely string like five passes together, and like not really get wins or clean sheets and so on and so forth. Whereas it's like it was nice, it's the city and everything like that, but like the product just wasn't there. And I think that's the main difference with San Diego FC, whereas it's like they had a true project. They're like, this is our style of play, this is the players that we're gonna try to get, this is like the initiatives we're trying to push. And it was just so clear and it just made me easier to buy into. And even though, we didn't have like the star-studded guys, even with Chucky Lozano, I was still kind of on the fence because, he's kind of on the wrong side of 20, and, he's kind of getting into that, era where it's like, okay, you can maybe get like 3 good years out of him, but it's like, regardless of the fact is, it's like San Diego FC laid down that foundation where they can build upon. And that's something SD Loyal didn't do. And that's something that kind of turned me away from Loyal. And, just, the last thing to finish up before Carlos says something, SD Loyal was great and everything like that. And in the comments we get all the time, San Diego San Diego Loyal died so San Diego FC can thrive. But it's like being honest and being super transparent, there was nothing that San Diego Loyal could have done to really make me invested more, because it's like, you're playing in USL, the competition isn't really that high. Whereas it's like, you're in MLS, you're able to spend the big bucks, you're able to bring in the big names, and you're able to market this club as something way more than what San Diego Loyal could have ever done.
Well, I completely I completely disagree with him. I don't think I don't think it, like, yes, it makes sense, like, we didn't have the players, but I think it just comes down to more like Loyal didn't connect with the city as much as it wanted to, rightfully so, and SDFC was really able to connect to the city in all aspects, and get that popularity going. Because honestly, like, we have a bunch of no names technically on our team, and so did Loyal. And I don't think even if Loyal came in swinging and winning all these games, they would have the support of the city like SDFC does. And honestly, if SDFC was losing maybe 2-3 games, I think you'd still have the same support, um, because of the impact that it was. And I think San Diego, I know we have the Padres, but we also have like lower level teams. We had a football team here, that was lower division. We have a lacrosse team. We have a lower division hockey team. But you just have your cult followings to that. And I think what really brought the attractiveness was the MLS marker, and that this is a competitive team. This is something that we can sit there and say, yeah, we're going to go against LA Galaxy, who's in a competitiveness. And I think San Diego State could have completely dropped the mark too as well if they didn't come in swinging and saying, we want San Diego culture. If they just showed up, there'd be nothing. I can promise you that. Just like the Loyals did, there would be nothing. And that was what I was scared of. But when San Diego State showed up, it was like a complete change. And what's funny is, like, when Chucky Lozano showed up, and I'm not trying to talk about like race or anything like that, but half of the people that were there were all like Mexicans or, like from Latin descent, like just supporting. And I was like, oh my God, well, it's just going to be a bunch of like Mexicans supporting San Diego Sea. And then, like, when I was at Mavericks, it was the complete opposite. Everybody was there. And then that's when I realized San Diego Sea did the right thing. This is literally bringing all cultures together and unifying it, and everybody wants to be a part of it.
I dig that. Outside perspective, when I saw the announcement for San Diego, it made sense to me in like a major market idea standpoint, right? Because, in the past I've worked for tequila companies, and like, you are aware working in tequila, like what California represents as a market in terms of like population, in terms of like all the different types of consumers, and like, how people like to spend their time. It's like outdoors, social environments, like a lot of community. And so I was like, this makes a lot of sense, but I don't know anything about San Diego. Like, how are they going to connect with people? And I saw like the crest and everything, and I'm like, okay, I guess. Right. And like, it as an outsider, right? Like, I also recognize I'm not the target person, right? Like, very clearly they targeted residents of San Diego, and they've succeeded by every single measure that I'm hearing. So like, one, good. I'm glad to hear that continues to pan out. Because like, none of it made sense to me. Like, anything that they were like promoting or talking about, I was like, I don't get it. But again, I'm all the way across the country. Funny? Like, I'm sitting in Cincinnati.
I don't think we got it either. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, I saw the badge, I saw the chrome. I didn't get it either. I didn't, and then it just worked. You just felt
you got used to seeing it, and it's like, for the people that are like, oh, what's the badge? Da 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 da. It's like, there's 18 lines, right, in this little thing right here, right? Those 18 lines stand for the 18 different counties in San Diego, right? So it's like, that's like one thing to like kind of just know. And it's like, at first, I was like, it kind of took me a while to kind of get used to seeing, but it's like now that, you see the kit, you see, the players wear it, you see it in training grounds and, everything like that. It's like you see it on billboards, you know what I mean? So it's like you start to see it more and more, and you're like, you know what? I could get behind this. And it's like same thing with the Chrome and Azul. Like it was just kind of why dark blue, why this, why that, and it's like it just started to make more and more sense. And it's like, okay, say what you want. The jersey's boring, da 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 da. But it's like I don't know. I got used to it to the point where it's like, nah, I'm messing with this. You know what I mean? So it's like, and look, all these man, they could say whatever they want, but it's like, regardless of the fact is, it's like the only thing that San Diego wanted with San Diego is FC is to just be represented. We wanted a soccer team, right, that represents every single community in San Diego. And I think that's something that San Diego Loyal failed to do, was really get that togetherness in the city. And I think that's something where it's like, that's what San Diego FC is doing. They're pushing that initiative to really get the whole city behind them, not just like a targeted demographic.
Yeah, and I think even just with like the badge, it literally just says San Diego, and we're San Diego FC. Like the other one was San Diego Loyal, like you're part of this thing, and it just like feels different to sit here and say, no, we're playing for San Diego. We're Team San Diego. That's who we are. We're the 18 cities. We're playing for this community. That's what we're coming out.
So it works. This all goes to show that it's a good thing I never was born.
Yeah.
Because none of that like makes sense to me, but very obviously it works.
Right, yeah.
So hey, what do I know? Now that said, I don't think it takes a marketing genius to say that some things like when people say Adidas kits are not great, well, I think they're probably not great for the entire league.
Yeah,
personally,
we didn't.
Don't think that's a controversial take.
No, not at all.
But I mean, it's okay. Like I support a team that gets Adidas's full attention in England, and when Adidas allocates their time, they're like, all right, let's make amazing merchandise, and there's going to be 1,000 things for Arsenal, for Real Madrid, for Manchester United, and everyone else gets 15 minutes, and it's probably like our interns did, and it shows.
Exactly.
But we take it because it's, if nothing else, you support your local.
Yeah.
So okay, so one other thing. You guys keep talking about this place, Mavericks. Is this like an iconic San Diego bar? Like what's the significance of this?
So the thing is that what San Diego's trying to do, like even more to show up for the community, they are going to do watch parties for all the away games and go to different bars in the city of San Diego. So Mavericks just happened to be one, which is in Pacific Beach. It's a beach town that has a lot of bars in there, and it is kind of iconic because that's where a lot of anyone between like 21 and 30 years old go and hang out and like do beach time. And honestly, it was the perfect weather too that we got for that game. It felt like summer in San Diego, so it all worked itself out. But that's like an iconic. And so San Diego FC will continue to do like the next away game will be at a different bar that again represents the culture in some way.
I dig it. You're talking about summer, and FC Cincinnati had their coldest home match ever for their home that we sat through. So
we were like a perfect 75, 76
degrees,
sunny,
not a cloud in sight. Like it was. But
yeah,
I mean that's literally
the sun was not in sight for me.
That's San Diego probably 9 months out of the year, realistically, just solid 70 degrees, and it's like I think that's one of the things that like is a benefit to us, is just the weather, and you can kind of use that to your advantage doing all things.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Ohio gets maybe 30 nice days a year, and the other 335 are some combination of it's either storming or way too humid or slightly too cold or too hot and too humid. Like you just take a combination. Yesterday we had 3 seasons in one day. It started off like lightning storms, like very temperate weather, for like the first 6 hours of the day, and then it was like really nice and beautifully sunny, and then it was hailing and like freezing
That's
rain.
crazy.
Hell is
And
real. Hell is real.
yeah, hail is
Hell
real.
is real.
It's unbelievable.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
That's crazy.
All right. Okay. Cool. So I needed to understand the Mavericks thing. I was
Right.
like, what am I missing here? So okay, guys, let's talk about the actual thing we all care
Right.
about, right? So the win, huge, enormous. I was just initial reaction, and I'm curious from the insiders your take on this. In the first 45 minutes, I was like, this Dreyer guy
Cooked.
does not seem like the right signing for them. And then he looked like a different person in the second half, and I was like, what happened? Like, was this like a body double that like came out, and like the actual player came out for the second half? Like, so I was stunned. I was like, okay, they got that DP signing right in the second half, clearly, because the first half I was like, I didn't notice him on the field. And the other thing I noticed was like when it wasn't going through Dreyer, who was like scoring and making the impact, it felt like Chucky was very much the heart and soul of like everything else that was going on. And I'm interested if you guys think if that's a good thing or a bad thing that he is the default look.
I think for right now it's okay because that's what we kind of banked on is Chucky being the default look. And you're right, like it fell on that, but I think after he got subbed out, Dreyer had that ability to play a little bit differently, and the team play a little bit differently, and it did show. So it's really hard because I'd love to just judge right off the first game, but I also think LA Galaxy was playing a really terrible game. At the same time, like they weren't the LA Galaxy that we thought we were going to go up against, and I'd love to sit here and say that was all SDFC, but I don't know, um, but I think that Dreyer just needed that like momentum to go in, and I think that truly he is going to be somebody that is going to be a hidden talent that we were not. Well, I mean Vince called it, but that we were just not really expecting, and I think even the announcers at the game, like the just the announcers, right? That's what
Yeah,
the commentators, they even said, while everybody's looking at Chucky, San Diego FC have found a gold mine with Andres Dreyer, and I think that is going to transition through and through in each game. And while everybody might be covering Chucky, Andres Dreyer is going to be making that run, and slowly going. And I think also what we were talking about is interesting because Chucky had like a real opportunity to score, yet he passed it, which was very interesting to see that, Chucky could have taken that and probably scored that goal, and didn't. He passed it, and it just shows like a real unity in the team, and that the team is kind of revolving around Chucky's support.
Yeah, and kind of the first half, I think San Diego FC were kind of just testing the waters a little bit to kind of see what LA would throw at us. And I mean, for the most part, in our YouTube video that we, had that match review, I was, singing my praises about the midfield. And the midfield was just running riot in that match. Yepes Verskov, Anibal Godoy, and Luca Della Torre were running that game. One touch passing, triangles, and this whole emphasis about playing out the back and playing out of pressure, you saw that firsthand. And I think those three had their fingerprints all over this game. And even when I think it was Luca Della Torre got subbed out, you saw Valakari come in and he just fit in like a glove. So it's like you have all these guys who are able to plug and play in these different positions where it's like, it doesn't really matter who's on the pitch. As long as everybody knows their role and everybody knows what kind of space to be in, that's all that matters. And I mean, for the attack, I think, in that first half, a little quiet. I think, again, we were just kind of testing the water, see what would happen. But that second half, you really saw San Diego FC and that press, right, really come into play. And San Diego FC is that team who's going to press you. You're going to make mistakes against us. And, you saw that firsthand with LA Galaxy, a poor touch from the right back who's kind of escaping my mind. Chucky capitalizes on that opportunity. And like Carlos said, he could have taken a shot. And maybe you're talking about a Chucky 2-3 years ago, probably would have taken that shot. But he's kind of in that position now where it's like he is the face of the team and he's kind of, really trying to make a statement for himself where it's like he is a leader in this team, and he's kind of an example that the players have to look at to be like, okay, don't be as selfish. Of course, I like a little selfishness because I think that, kind of shows a little confidence, but it's like you saw in that moment, he passed to Dreyer, and shout out to Marcus Vartan, was in an offside position, just let it go. And who's there? Dreyer. So it's like, kind of goes to show where it's like San Diego FC has so many weapons. Who you going to cover, right? Because it's like, if you're covering De La Torre, then Anders Dreyer is open on that right-hand side, and he was wide open for that shot. Hit it first time, and, it was great to see Anders really show his quality, and it's like, I'll, tip my hat to myself on that one. So it was really good to see, just the quality of this team show, because I think that was something that a lot of fans were concerned about, is how are these guys going to perform match day one, and they looked so cohesive.
Yeah. I mean, the word that came to mind when I was watching this was tenacious. Yeah. Like, anytime that ball was lost, like, to your point, the press was on. And then even when they were in possession, like, there was no sitting on the ball. There was no, waiting and, looking and seeing if, like, can we take a break? Like, and we see this in MLS, right? Like, you'll see teams where someone will take a touch, they take a second touch, a third touch, a fourth touch, and then they're like, let me look around, fifth touch, sixth touch, I'll pass it sideways. No, nothing else. It's a square ball, and it's probably going like 10 yards. And it's, I think, a lot harder than people realize to play one-touch soccer. Like, you always think of like Barca, right? And like, Barcelona, the tiki-taka, one-touch soccer, and people are like, oh yeah, it's like, they're the best for that reason. It's like, that's really hard. Like, you have to really be gelled with your team to be able to do that. You have to know where they're going to be. You have to know to look for them. So I was stunned to see that in, like, let alone a first game.
Right. And I think, Mikey Varas has been telling us all season, like all preseason, we are coming to play. We are not showing up and playing anything. We are going full head. And it showed, like, as much as we heard it, it was like, oh, come on, how could you? But they did. They jumped on LA Galaxy fast, and they did not let go of them. And whenever there was a mistake, SDFC would drop back so fast and just cover any angle it could, and then immediately go up the field. Even like in the 90th minute, you saw how fast Anders Dreyer passed that ball to Thomas Angel, and then still made the whole run all the way to the forward. There was nothing stopping this team. It just felt like it was going to happen.
Yeah, and just kind of going off of that, and I know there was a lot of question marks about Mikey Varas on how he would kind of instill this kind of philosophy into this team, but it's like, regardless of the fact is, on how you look at Mikey Varas, he is probably one of the guys that respectfully would probably get the best out of these guys, because I think, Mikey Varas, we call him the SDFC step bro, right? Because it's like he's one of, like, he's uno di noi in Italian, that means like one of us. So it's like, you see that, and it's like he's just so, like, connected to the city and the community and everything like that. And I think it's so good that he kind of instills that into the players, and he knows from firsthand what it means to, be connected with this city. And it's like he just instilled that ideology and that mentality into these players. And he's like, yeah, in our interview, when we interviewed him, he said, we're not going to go to LA and, just lay on the ground. We're going to go there to compete. And I think that's kind of the emphasis about this season. And it's like, if people think that San Diego FC is going to kind of stop and kind of, slow down a little bit, I think you will get those moments where, you go over speed bumps and so on and so forth. But to the point where it's like, we're going to be 15th place, I think is a little crazy to say, because it's like, especially after that first game, the whole league now has their eyes on San Diego FC, to the point where it's like, okay, now, people are saying, okay, maybe they can get that playoff spot. So I think with, what Carlos was saying with the whole kind of play style on how, like, we're able to, go to minute 90, play, 100% to minute 90, is just a testament to what Mikey Varas has kind of, told these players to do.
And I just want to give a quick shout out, or a quick not shout out, but we had a ton of LA Galaxy, LAFC fans talking so much crap to us, like right before, and then now we win. We post our next video, and it's all like, oh, you know what? I am from LA, but I am proud for San Diego. My family's in San Diego. Now we're not the laughing stock, huh? All of a sudden you're praising us.
You get that respect. And
you guys can jump the bandwagon whenever you want. We have a home for you here.
That's right. Well, hey, I mean that's what the 18 different lines are for, right?
You should add a 19th one for the hype beasts.
There you for the northern subs. Yeah. So, guys, we saw how they played, right? And I'm interested to hear. Do you want to revise any prediction? Because I think we said in the last time that we had talked, like playoff, but like looking at maybe like, the lower, like, 5 to 8 spots in playoffs. Like, are you holding pat there? Are you like sitting firm, or, are you going to like ride the vibes to say, no, we're competing for a home spot at this point?
I think my first analysis stays until I see this game on Saturday. I think St. Louis is going to be a little bit more competitive team, and definitely going to come out a lot faster than LA Galaxy was. And they have a point to prove too that we were just a fluke. So I want to see how San Diego reacts to this, and if they are able to react just as great, then I think I can bump them up a lot more.
Yeah, I think for me, I think like Carlos was saying, they're St. Louis, they're no pushover team. I think, that 0-0 scoreline that they had last week was a little bit misleading, right? Because it's like St. Louis had loads of shots on target. They had loads of chances. And, we know that St. Louis on their day will put away those chances. And I mean, they limited Colorado to 2 shots, none on target. So it's like they were heavily dominant in that game. And it's like, yeah, they're going away, and they're coming here to San Diego, and it's going to be a cauldron in Snapdragon Stadium. And I think that's one of the things that's going to really be a benefit to us, whereas it's like, it's going to be a hostile environment for them, but it's like, you still can't really write anything off in that game. And in terms of, where San Diego FC is going to place, I'm still, kind of sticking to my prediction, because it's like, at the end of the day, it's like these guys don't have MLS experience, right? In a one game, it's great, but then in the course of a 30 game season, to the point where it's, you're playing, week in and week out, and, that doesn't take into account of injuries and stuff like that. And, players who come in, come out, so it's like, I think there's a lot of factors that kind of go into where San Diego is going to finish. So I think I'm more confident in that San Diego is going to finish in the spot that I predicted them. But I'm just going to say that, yeah, I'm more confident that they're going to finish in the spot that I predicted.
Unless De Bruyne comes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If De Bruyne signs in the summer, then just like tack on like 5 places.
Yeah, exactly.
I think I'm probably sitting right with you guys. I'm maybe confident enough to say that they make the playoffs proper. Sure. Like, it's not an 8-9 finish anymore, because I think one of the key distinctions is that they went for the full 90. And yes, it's early season, right? But like mentally they were engaged. Yeah. There was not any of like the ball watching. There weren't like scary moments as the match went on. Like, they looked disciplined. And I think that's something that's going to segment teams, especially as you get further into the season. What teams can stay engaged, what teams can stay disciplined, what teams don't give up like those goals late, that take 3 points down to 1 point, or takes like a really important draw down to a loss because, you got complacent in the last like 5 minutes. And there's tons of teams that drop those points. I mean, look at Houston, look at SKC, look at, Columbus suffered from that as well last year. And it's just like, there can be good teams and bad teams alike. And it's like, but again, a limited sample size. I didn't see that initially. So I'm I'm thinking they'll put in a good showing. I have no idea how high the ceiling is for them because there's also some great
Yeah.
teams in the West
Yeah,
as well.
yeah, the West is very stacked, but I think what I was really impressed with, and you saw it kind of post match when San Diego FC started to, post, the win and everything like that. You saw, the pre match locker room talk, and I think the thing that really encapsulates, I think, this season and kind of that game versus LA was when Yepes Verskov, our captain, said that LAFC is here to celebrate, but we're here to write history, and I think that alone gave me goosebumps because it's like that is the mentality that these guys are going with in every game. Every game is a first, right? So it's like that's like one thing to be like, okay, if Atlanta can do that, and if all these guys, and all these historic clubs, in MLS can do it, right? Why can't San Diego? So it's like I think the locker room in this team is so crucial to what you see on the pitch as well. And I think again, it's just a testament to how this team was built. Shout out Tyler Heaps. He really put, these guys in the right position to succeed. And it's like, you have, MLS experience like Anibal Godoy, what better player to have on your side than him, whereas it's like, he makes, those crunching tackles, in that LA game where it's like, he made himself known and he, made his presence known. And same thing with that midfield. I sing my praises in our video and everything like that. So it's like, you're putting all the right pieces of together. You're putting the right piece of the puzzle together, excuse me. And on top of that, you have great leadership qualities as well. And like how you were saying, how it was very disciplined, right? These guys had just the perfect positioning in every single moment, right? Where to, receive a pass, where to pass it. And, I said in our video where it's like you have Luca De La Torre playing in that free role. So it's like, I think that was something that was really good as well. And you got the best out of him in that way as well.
Yeah, I'm curious then, guys. We talked about it a little bit before we hit the record button. Where are you sitting going into the home opener in terms of confidence? Because I'm quite high on you guys. I think you have a lot of intangible factors. You have, like you said, going to be a cauldron. I would be willing to put money on the fact that that's going to be a sellout. That match will be, yeah. So, sellout crowd can be extremely passionate all time, like probably gonna be one of the loudest matches that you'll have all season because it's gonna be all the hype and all the anticipation. You're gonna have all the vibes of beating LA, right? Great start to the season. Most importantly, though, and we kind of talked about it, when was the last time an expansion team lost their home opener?
Yeah.
Because even like I said before, even Cincinnati, a historically bad team in 2019, won their home opener against Portland, who actually was pretty decent in 2019. So like, I am so incredibly confident in San Diego for this home opener.
I am too, and I hope we win. But San Diego curse is a real thing. So growing up watching a
No. We're manifesting.
I know.
We're manifesting no curse.
But like I said,
all right here.
Yeah.
Knocking on
but
it.
like I said, San Diego, like watching the Padres, the Chargers, we're just notorious, But I really truly believe that coming off of that, trusting in the team, trusting in Mikey Varas, we had the opportunity to interview quite a few of them yesterday, and they just look ready. They just look prepared. They, more than anything, look really, really excited to represent the city tomorrow night. More than anything, I think with the support that they saw in Los Angeles, they're even more excited to see the support that's going to be here in San Diego. And like you said, each and every one of them, this is their first game. This is their first time, and they are part of a brand new team. So they're probably identifying with this with a lot more and with the city now. And I think they're ready to show and put like pen to paper, like this was not a fluke. This wasn't anything. But I do believe St. Louis is going to come out ready to stop us as well. So it's going to be a back and forth game. I think a really competitive game, which I'm very excited for. But I do believe SDSC takes the win 2-1.
Yeah. And, for me, I think, again, it kind of goes back to, I know we were talking about this in the first, video we did together, the podcast. I was very apprehensive on the defense, right? And that still holds a very big concern for me. And I know, we nullified LA Galaxy and everything like that, but the fact of the matter is they didn't really have any clear-cut opportunities. Whereas, you saw St. Louis play Colorado and they had loads of chances, and, it just wasn't their day. And that's football at the end of the day. Nothing went in the goal. So it's like, for me, I'm really hoping that we can really contain St. Louis just as much as we did for LA Galaxy. And, I think there's a lot of great factors that go into San Diego's favor, right? We mentioned, the home and everything like that, and how it's going to be a great atmosphere and everything like that. And I think the players will really feed into that, which is very good. And, I think they know what's at stake. And I'm a little nervous just because it's like, yes, like with all that emotion and everything like that, we know as like, football players, whereas it's like that can also kind of be something that is a negative part of the aspect is too when you're a little too emotional, right? Is your judgment correct on, where to pass to? But I'm confident that, we'll be calm enough to kind of make the right decisions, but also if St. Louis will convert chances. And it's going to be a close one. It's going to be very end to end, but I think it's going to be a lot more conservative than I think a lot of people think. So in our prediction video, Carlos, he predicted a 2-1. I predicted a 1-0. I think we're going to keep that clean sheet. I think, we saw a lot of positive things in the first game, whereas it's like our positioning was really good. And I think that is something that I think is, promising going forward. So in terms of goals, I think, in that LA game, I think we just capitalized on LA Galaxy's mistakes that we forced out of them. I'm not saying that, San Diego didn't create any chances, because there were chances that were created, but I think the ones that we converted, number one, they didn't come often. So when they were, at our feet, we put away the chances, which was really good. And I mean, Dreyer with 2 first-time finishes was sensational. So it's like, going to this game, thinking, okay, we're going to convert our chances. It's just a matter of how many opportunities will we get in front of the goal. So,
and I think to his point, we haven't seen how SDFC reacts to conceding a goal. So it will be interesting. Let's say St. Louis scores first. Like, how is SDFC going to react to that? It's really, a lot of things are still up in the air, and we'll just go forward. But I do believe St. Louis will be attacking us a lot more than LA Galaxy was, and that's just going to open our counterattack so much. So we could see more goals than expected.
Yeah. Also, just to kind of add on, San Diego FC is a team that, loves to be played at, right? San Diego FC likes when, you're playing to them, you're taking the game to them, because it's like, with how great we are beating the press, we're also good at pressing you as well. And, we force mistakes from the opposition. And you saw that firsthand at Galaxy. And, if St. Louis plays their game and, they kind of, try to create chances and, try to get in the right spots to, create opportunities, if San Diego can really nullify those chances to the point where it's like we can, kill them off quick and, they have to press us, that plays exactly into San Diego's game, where it's like play out the press and, quickly move up the pitch.
I dig it. I'm just gonna say right now, I'm gonna give you guys the FC Cincinnati home opener score line. I think you guys take 3-0 at home.
Wow.
Thank you,
Russell.
The first ever FC Cincinnati match. I'm gonna hope that goes your way. Yeah. I would be okay as well with like a 3-1 or a 3-2, but I don't know, man. I just all the intangible factors, and like you telling me that the guys are just like up for it. I think they're gonna ball out. It's what my gut tells me. I think it's gonna be a magical moment.
I can't wait.
Yeah, no, I think it's safe to say that all of San Diego is really excited for Saturday, and if we can just get 3% of what we felt in Mavericks in Snapdragon Stadium, it's just going to be amplified by 100. So it's like, I think everybody is really excited. And then, just the tailgates as well, like the party's starting at 2:30, right? So it's like,
our game doesn't start till 7:30.
The game doesn't start until 7. So it's like, everyone's going to be there for a long ass time. So it's like the hype is going to be built up and everything like that. So San Diego is very excited for this game.
Just know that there is going to be a citywide party tomorrow in San Diego.
Yeah, granted, if we take home the 3 points.
No, there is.
I'm feeling it. Honestly, like describing this to me, I feel like it's gonna give me like big. When I was in Guadalajara a number of years ago, it was for it was in January, so that would have been what the Apertura would have been in. Yeah, it would have been ending out, and it was Atlas was hosting the finals of the Apertura, and I was in Guadalajara for work, and it was incredible. Like that city was packed. Like I was leaving work, headed back to like the hotel in like the center of the city, and it was just cars everywhere, like people hanging out of windows, flags being waved, and like again, I can just hearing you describe this, I feel like the same thing could like potentially happen in San Diego, and I would love to see that happen because that was again, it was just such a cool like cultural moment to be like, dang, like this is it feels like it feels like Super Bowl, but a different country, different people, different culture, and I was just like, this is awesome. So
yeah, no, I've been down there in Guadalajara when they're playing, but I my team is the Chivas, not Atlas, but I've seen both of them, and it just gets crazy. And like I was telling Vince, I think for the first time in my city, do I feel like I have that support in San Diego, which is really, really crazy. And I think, like he was even talking, like it felt like when he went to go watch a Milan game, like it was just like that here in San Diego.
It felt the same. It felt the same, like because when you're in a packed San Siro, 80,000 people, right, and you're all behind the same thing, right? You're all behind this red and black badge. It's like it felt
or blue and black.
No, not blue and black. Not blue and black. Never blue and black. But when you're in San Siro and you're in that packed atmosphere, and everyone's singing songs, and everyone's behind the same exact thing. It's like even just at Mavericks, I felt similar emotions to what I felt, when I was in the San Siro, and it's like I think it feels like more different because it's like San Diego is my local team, and it's like I work for, or like I run a page for Milan and everything like that, and it's like the guys like over in Italy, they said, well, Milan is my local team, so it's like it just feels like way more different because it's like it's in my backyard now compared to like me sitting my ass down on my couch watching Milan lose week in and week out. You know what I mean? So it's like,
thank God.
I've been so, this is just a side note. This is me kind of just ranting here. I've been so checked out of AC Milan recently because of just poor results and everything like that. And I will say this has been the worst Milan season I've ever watched as a fan. And
best season for me.
We got hate watchers in the chat, but looking at San Diego and having them win these games and have that, it's like it makes the losses that Milan have a little bit easier to take. So thank you, San Diego, for giving me that outlet for joy.
See, I'm right there with you. Like I'm watching Arsenal like choke away these important matches as like Liverpool gets further and further away, and I'm just like, well, hey, at least FC Cincinnati is is doing well right now, so we have that.
I've done my dues. I'm a Barcelona fan, so we're top of the table now.
I'm still doing my dues as an Arsenal fan.
I know you have a lot of dues.
It's 20 years of dues still going on here. Awesome. Well, guys, I am so incredibly excited to hear from you, to see your social media pages. And, for anyone who's listening, again, just like follow Carlos, follow Vince on social media at SDFC Bros, because they put out really cool content. I can't wait to see like the tailgates. I can't wait to hear some more stories about it because, man, I just like the magic of a first season was great for Cincinnati, but I can only imagine how much nicer it is to have a great first season and also be good. So I'm mildly envious of you guys.
Jump in, Russell. Jump in. You can be a San Diego fan. You'll be here.
I signed up with Vancouver on my West Coast team last year. Maybe I'll switch my allegiances this year. See. Yeah.
We'll rightly so take you. You can be the second step bro of this
Yeah,
SDSC bros. Honorary member.
We'll see. What I'll do is I'll put all the Western Coast teams on like a dartboard, and I'll just like throw, and I'll keep saying, yeah, and I'll just say that it landed on San Diego. It'll hit whatever, because I'm not going to be any good at it, but I'll just be like, oh yeah, it hit San Diego. I don't need to go check.
Perfect.
Perfect. Well, guys, thank you very much for making some time to talk through us like reactions, just continuing the story of what's going on in this first season for San Diego FC. So appreciate you guys hopping on here. Once again, just a reminder for everyone listening, Carlos and Vince, you can find them on social media at SDFC Bros. And hey, you can find the podcast over here at MLS Now Podcast, also on those same social media platforms. And with that said, guys, enjoy the match tomorrow. I'm so excited for you, and listeners, I'm sure they're excited for you as well. And we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having us, Russell.
Thanks, Russell. Ciao, ragazzi.